move that there. Okay, let's go. Hi there, welcome back to Pronunciation with Emma. Today we're not going to be looking at pronunciation, we're going to be looking at something that's just as important, and that's goal setting and staying motivated. So if you're struggling with motivation and language learning, then stick around until the end of this video because I'm going to share 4 tips that you can start using today to make your life a little bit easier. Before we get started with the tips though, hello and welcome back to my channel if you are a returning subscriber. If you are brand new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Emma, and if you haven't already subscribed, then do that. So tip number 1 that I want to suggest to you is to change your mindset. Now, this might sound really boring, like, Emma, okay, I'm going to click off this video, but honestly, stick around, right? Listen to me. Listen. So, your mindset is incredibly powerful. I see a lot of people, my students included, like my private students, friends, they're so negative sometimes, and I can definitely tell that this negative mentality has an impact on how they are learning the language and their attitude towards the language. So I tend to find that the students who are the most negative and the most pessimistic about learning languages, they tend to be the ones that don't end up being as successful. So for example, I found that students who struggled the most with grammar were actually the ones that told themselves grammar's really difficult. They convinced themselves that, they told themselves that, oh, I don't like grammar, it's difficult, so I'm never gonna learn it. And what happened? They didn't learn it, or they didn't learn it very well. While I found the students who had a very positive mentality, they saw English as being like a puzzle where they just put the pieces together and oh, you have a sentence. These were the students who were most likely to succeed. That's from my experience anyway. I don't think there's any particular research on this. I will have a quick look. If I find anything, I'll put it down in the description. But in general, if your mindset is positive and you are relaxed when you're learning English and I don't want to say when you're happy when you're learning English, but you are not stressed or you're not feeling upset or pressured or anything like that, you are more likely to succeed in learning the language. So change your mindset. I promise it will definitely make a difference. There's also the theory called the affective filter. I do not remember which theorist it is. I think it's Krashen. I will add some text somewhere to correct myself or confirm whether that is correct. But anyway, there is a theory called the affective filter. And essentially when you are stressed or under pressure or feeling unhappy or miserable or you're worried or whatever, if you have some kind of negative emotion, then this impacts on the way that you learn and you produce language. So the more stressed you are, for example, the less likely you are to remember information. So you're less likely to remember vocabulary and remember grammar. You're also less likely to be able to produce language more fluently, whether it's in writing form or in spoken form. You're more likely to go blank and things like that. While if you are more relaxed, your affective filter goes down and you're able to retain information better, you remember grammar better and vocabulary, you also produce language a lot better. So that's just something to bear in mind, and that is research proven. So that's not just me saying that, that is research that's saying that. So the less stressed you are, the better. The next tip I want to give is setting micro goals. So a lot of people, they say, I want to be fluent in English, I want to sound like a native speaker. Okay, great, they're fantastic goals to have. However, let's make them a little bit more realistic. So instead of saying, I want to be fluent in English, let's break it down. So I want to, for example, perfect the present simple. That's our first goal. The second goal, I want to be able to use the past simple in English correctly. Great. Next goal, I want to be able to use the present perfect. Then the next goal may be, I want to be able to learn how to distinguish between past simple and present perfect. So you see what I'm doing? I'm setting very, very small goals. And I mean, you could make those goals even smaller. So you could focus on, for example, I want to learn all the regular present simple verbs. I want to learn all the irregular past simple tenses, for example. So you can really narrow those goals down into something very, very small in particular. This is a lot more realistic and a lot less you could say than saying, I want to be fluent by January. Great, but what is fluency to you? Is it sounding like a native speaker? Is it being able to communicate with your friends in your class, or what is it? Fluency means something different to every single person. So that's quite a hard way to... what I'm trying to say is it's a hard goal to achieve, because you'll find that your perception of fluency always changes. So yeah, set micro goals. It makes life so much easier, and you can track your progress. Now, related to tip number 2 is tip number 3, and that is to find the problems that you have with grammar, with English, with vocabulary, whatever, and focus on those problems first, because that's where you will start to see the most progress. So for example, if you have problems with past simple and present perfect, oh, I know the difference sometimes, but when I use them, it's difficult. Practice that, practice and perfect, because the only way you're going to get better is by practicing. You're not going to get better by scrolling on Facebook and Instagram, are you? So practice, 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 focus on those things. Set yourself very realistic deadlines for them as well. And the last tip I want to give, tip number 4, is find an accountability buddy. So what do I mean by an accountability buddy? This is basically a friend or a teacher or someone who is willing to hold you accountable to things. So when you say, I want to learn 1 new word every day, that is going to be your goal. 1 new word every day in 2020. Fantastic. That's a completely achievable goal. So 1 word, you tell your accountability buddy. They will also have something that they want to do for 2020 as well, and have as their goal. Let's imagine it's, I don't know, focusing on how to use past simple and present perfect. So they tell you that, and you hold each other accountable. You now have someone who is basically on your back asking you every day, have you learned your word today? Have you learned your word today? Have you practiced your past simple and your present perfect today? And you keep kind of motivating each other. So you have this friend that you just use as that motivation and that push, and you both equally have to do it, okay? So if that other person is pushing you, you need to push them as well to make sure that they're achieving their goals. Hold each other accountable and keep pushing each other. It will definitely motivate you. I use this trick a lot, like with my business. So when I say, for example, oh, I want to launch my course by January, I know that now that I've told my accountability buddy this, I need to get my course out, because I feel like I'm not just letting myself down if I don't, but I will be letting my accountability buddy down as well. And it goes the same for them. They tell me I want to whatever with their goal, I keep pushing them, and they feel like they've let me down. This might not be something for everyone, because you might feel like you're disappointing everyone, but do realize it's not the end of the world. Your accountability buddy is just there to give you motivation. That is it. So I hope these tips have helped you. If you have any other tips, please do share them below in the comments. What do you do to stay motivated, and how do you set goals? Do you do it in a similar way to what I've suggested in this video, or do you have your own special way? Let me know in the comments. I hope you have a fantastic week. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It is a nice free way to help me out. Besides all that, thank you for watching, and I will see you next lesson. Bye bye.